Welcome back to episode 2. Today we're going to be discussing some milestones we've been through in our lives, separate and together, and how we've shown up and supported.
Navigated those.
Yeah, and we're recording here in AZ Rocket Studios again.
Yep.
In Tempe, Arizona.
Rock on. Thanks for letting us do this. Whoa. Okay. Yikes. See, that's what I was scared about. I'm going to break this microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think for me, one of the first, I will say this was probably the first milestone, like big milestone that we went was actually my mom. Mm-hmm. Because we, at that point, was it me and you that were talking about that? We were trying to figure out the time frame. I can't remember with my mom, like how long we were here before she found out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long. I know she'd be able to tell you more.
Yeah.
Of that date. I know she knows she has all that.
Yeah.
But I think it was right before I turned 9.
Okay.
So that math would have been what, 2000?
2000, yeah.
Then, yeah. No, 2001. I would turn 9, 2001. Because I was born in 92. So, yeah. So I think it was that time frame. And so by that, I don't think we had been in Arizona very long.
No, I don't think so.
So our friendship was pretty fresh. But I think you remember some things of that night maybe more different than me. I know we were together at the gym when she found out.
I remember you leaving the locker room, or did we leave together?
I feel like we left.
Actually, I think I know what happened.
Okay.
You were out there crying.
Okay.
And someone came and told me that you were crying. And that your mom was crying.
Okay, because we were at like the front desk, right?
We're at the front desk.
And for some reason, I feel like not many people were there at the gym at that moment.
No,
like almost everybody was
late.
gone.
Yeah.
Like I feel like when we were leaving, it was almost like they were like ready to lock up. Which I'm wondering if that was because Mom was obviously getting some news.
It would be very interesting to talk to your mom.
Yeah, she definitely remembers that way more. Yeah. I just remember that was when you were with me.
And you were crying because your mom was crying.
Yeah.
And I was crying. I think I started crying too.
Yeah. And I don't even know if in that moment Mom told me.
Yeah, because I
don't remember, but I remember being upset. And I remember being scared and crying. I think the fact that Mom was probably was a panic too, because I knew it wasn't good.
Yeah. Do you remember her saying like, I'm going to go have some tests done, or it might be cancer?
Like previous to that?
Yeah.
I don't. And I honestly, the reason I don't, and again, Mom will know more, so that'll be interesting to be able to hear like her side of the story. I want to say that the testing wasn't testing for that. Like I think it was just her routine checkup.
Yeah, and
I think it was blindsiding.
Okay.
Like it wasn't like, hey, we got something back. I want to say it was just her routine mammogram.
Okay.
That they found it. But I do remember, I do remember being scared. And then of course when you find out, you hear cancer, I mean, you freak out as a kid.
I remember talking later, like we didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
Because we were so young.
I just think that word in that moment, you might not know what it is. You just knew it wasn't good.
It's scary.
It was just like a scary word. It had a negative thing to it. You're like, well, I don't know what that is, but like, that's not good.
Right.
Like, you don't want anybody to have that. Or I don't think at that point I had known anybody associated with cancer or anything to where maybe I had that where I knew it wasn't good. But I just think as a kid, you just knew that wasn't good. And then based off of my mom's obviously reaction, you knew it wasn't good. I do think I was very, I'm thankful that I was young. I think that kind of helped me be a little naive, that I was able to kind of be a little bit detached from it. But there was a lot of things in my life and people in my life that I think made that season so easy. Obviously, I think having like a friendship there of just normalcy.
Right.
I continued to go to your house. You continue like that. I think in general, like even my brother and sister, I can't speak for them, but I think like even just having a little bit of normalcy of like our routines, like my mom
Something
missed
staying
one
the
meet.
same. Yeah.
And it still blows my mind to this day. She missed one meet.
Yeah.
And so she still like showed up. And so to me, I'm like, holy crap, you had every reason not to, because I know chemo made her sick.
Yeah.
And so I think that to me was just like huge, and she had every reason not to. And I don't even think as a kid I would have even thought any different, because I
Right.
knew that she wasn't feeling good. Grandmother came down to live with us,
Yep.
and she really helped with the normalcy of like, she helped us with school, helped, had breakfast,
Yeah. She stepped in
and
big
got
time.
us and took her to all of her everything. Her chemo, I'm pretty sure during that time my mom was finishing up or starting massage there.
Yeah.
So like took her to all of her things, helped her when she was sick.
After her surgery. That's what I remember your
Yeah.
mom after her surgery big time.
Yeah. And then kind of taking grandmother obviously kind of took that worry away from us. Again, and just giving us this normalcy of like, this isn't easy, but like you guys are okay. She'll be, okay kind of thing. I think that played a big role of being less scared.
Yeah.
In those moments of like seeing her sick or
Yeah.
not understanding kind of what's going on. It was a huge blessing that we were in Arizona at this time. I think about that too, because I'm like, why Arizona? Like when my parents got divorced, like at that moment, I'm surprised. Like, why didn't you go back home, like to grandmother and
True.
granddad?
Yeah.
That kind of always was something to me. I know she lived in Arizona. I know she liked it. Susie and Bruce were there, and that was the thing. Like that winded up being the blessing of Bruce being there
Yeah.
and him doing her surgery and all those things. It just blows my mind that I'm like, wow. Because I'm like, we technically could have gone anywhere or
Yeah.
could have gone home, and just having him there as the surgeon and just really, I think that was a very big blessing too of having him, and that was just added support. And of course, just having him be the one. I mean, that's just, we've known him. I think my mom's known him since college.
Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, they're my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
That is interesting
aunt,
to
uncle.
think of all the places to be. You guys ended up
Yeah.
here. Your mom quickly after getting here went through that.
And had the surgeon that was ideal for you, a friend, somebody
Yeah.
you knew, you trusted, and just
Who was
having
gonna
that
take
support.
care of you.
It's just, and then you had the support of him and Susie, and grandmother was able to come. Like
Yeah.
I had, you guys were there. I mean, it just really, for me and like my side of things, like a big blessing of having that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Do you feel like your day to day was hardly
Yeah.
interrupted at all?
that was the thing. Like I felt like my life didn't get shifted. My sister did say she remembers, and this is something that I brought up to you that just makes me laugh, that she, and I'm not saying she didn't, I just, this is the whole thing of like my own little world,
Yeah.
my life didn't get shifted,
Yeah.
and it's helping and driving us to places. And I'm like, I do not remember that.
Yeah.
So that just, to me, probably shows of like, I did it. And so it probably did more so shift for Caitlin than it did me.
Because she was quite a bit older.
Yeah, she's 7 years older, I think. So to her at that point, she was driving.
Yeah.
So she probably did do more to help
Because
us
she could.
get places, and if mom could or whatever, or maybe helping grandmother with more things because she was the oldest. So that's probably got more lean onto her, and she probably remembers things more detailed than I do. And I only remember so much.
Yeah.
But, and same with my brother, he was a little bit older, but he still wasn't able to like drive or do any of that. So I think, I'm sure the role that her feelings would be way different than mine for
Yeah.
that. But my everyday life, I don't felt like changed. Like I still got to go to your house. I still
Yeah.
went to gym. I still, like I said, competitions, mom still was there. She missed one.
Yeah. And I remember going to your house even
Yeah.
when your mom, after she had her surgery,
Yeah.
after she's going through chemo, it was never like, I don't remember anyone saying, oh, you can't go over there
Yeah.
right now. Kit's this, or she just went on with her day.
Yeah, I think for me at that time, at that age, I think the blessing was that normalcy. Like I
Yeah.
don't look back at that and think, whoa, like everything was chaos, which it was.
It was
and
in some
I'm
areas,
sure it's
definitely.
most of them it was, but I think being the youngest, I think I got less of the chaos.
Yeah, pretty unscathed through
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
That was like our big first thing, I would say.
That was like, whoa.
That was like a real big problem.
Yeah, of like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Or like, what could happen?
What could happen? Is my
Is
mom going to
this-
be okay?
yeah.
You know.
Of like, and I'm not saying we never did, but I don't even know if I ever voiced those thoughts
Yeah.
or thought about them. Probably at that age you don't want to, you don't think to, because you're like, well, that's not going to happen. But like, if that were to happen of like in high school ever, that would have been so much more
Yeah, it would have been way more
traumatizing,
scary, for sure.
because you know, and it's real and you're really in it, and I would have remembered it, and I probably would have been more involved in getting her here or there or whatever,
Right.
because you're at that age, and I probably would have, which wouldn't have been a bad thing, I don't want to say this wrong, but like sacrificed more than I did at that age.
Yeah.
So, and that's where kind of Caitlin's point of view probably would have been different. But I think that was the biggest verse for us of like, whoa.
A big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it was just like, you were just there and it was normal, and we were able to just keep it going.
Yeah.
Because that had to have been early on. Because if I was turning 9, that was about close to, I think, when we met.
connected. Yep.
So, I mean, we were, 7, 8? So, I mean, it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't ever know if you remember the surgery.
I remember like seeing her all bandaged up.
Oh, yeah.
And I think she was laying in bed or something, but I don't ever remember feeling scared. And of course, it wasn't my mom necessarily going through it, but you know.
I think it was like definitely a thing of being like young, probably.
Yeah, really young. It definitely protects
lucky
you.
in
And I
that,
think
yeah.
that we were lucky to have the adults and the parents in our lives who protected us from that.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
There's a lot of unknown, a lot of not understanding things that, and even talking to my own son about certain situations, he'll say to me something that we had a situation with Liv when she fell out of her high chair. And just a couple years ago, we were talking about it, and I was saying, oh my gosh, her black eye was so awful.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I know, and it was my fault. And I'm like, wait a second, it was so not your fault. It was my fault. Like, you're not to blame at all. So just hearing that as an adult, the kid's perspective, kids hear things and then turn it into something that fits their narrative, which isn't necessarily right.
Yeah.
So we were lucky that
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing anything negative or scary. It was just always positive.
They
You
try
know.
to keep, and I don't remember too many. I do remember being a little scared. I think when my mom was sick, that was like when I knew my mom was sick and didn't feel good from the chemo. I think that was probably my biggest thing that I didn't like, because I don't ever see my mom like that, and as a kid, like it's just parents in general, grandparents, like you just are like, they're invincible, because they don't.
Nothing's
they
gonna
are
hurt
essentially
them.
like they're just like they're superheroes, you know. So I think it was just like, oh my gosh, like then you know something's wrong.
Yeah.
That's like when my mom was crying. It's like, oh, I know
Something's
wrong.
really wrong.
Like to where it's like, oh, then you just, that's biggest panic. You're like, what the heck? But I think that was like the first thing of like, and at that time we were so young that it, not that you weren't a good friend, I'm not saying that, but it was easy, I think, for us to like be there for each other because we just were.
Yeah, we just continued on.
Like it just like we tried to just keep things going. We didn't know any different.
Yeah.
We were just like, okay, like we're just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have to get too deep with things because we were naive, unknown of things.
Luckily,
Yeah.
during those times. I think next, timing wise, would probably be like graduations.
Mm-hmm.
And you were here for mine,
Yeah.
and your mom came. right?
Yeah.
And then yours, I remember.
Yeah.
Is that when we surprised you at the game? No, it wasn't.
I don't know. Well, no. Maybe?
I don't think so, because it was snowing at that time.
Oh, yeah, then no.
Because it was during football season, so that would have been more like winter time. But
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
we were just Chandler was there for my graduation. I was
Yeah.
there for yours.
Yeah, those were bigger.
And
made the
then-
point to go. I think. The time you're talking about was Caitlin's baby shower.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that when you surprised with Hannah?
Yeah.
Because that would have been after graduations. Because she got pregnant with Hannah my senior year.
Okay.
So you came down. You went double whammy.
Yeah, I think
you guys
I came
come down for
twice that year.
graduation.
And for
Oh no, you came before graduation. So
Yeah.
she had Hannah before graduation.
Yeah, so I came
That-
for the baby shower.
Yeah.
And that was
then
fun.
That's when you surprised us.
Yeah.
And then you came down that summer for.
And no one knew we were coming, right? Did your mom know?
I don't know. I just know me and Caitlin didn't know.
Because that's when we surprised you at the game. You were at a football
Mm-hmm.
game. And your mom was like panicking. She's like, how close are you? She's trying to leave because you were trying to leave with Allie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
So
so
I just
funny.
got
The
out of
little,
my car.
And you started. I was backing.
Yeah, you
I
were
was
backing
leaving.
up. She
That's
was
so
leaving the
funny. I
game.
didn't even remember
And
that.
I got out
moment.
of the car and I was like waving at you because I
And
didn't
I
know what
was
to
like,
do.
was Allie with me?
Uh-huh.
Because we were probably going to go eat or
Yeah,
something.
you guys were just going to leave the game. And
Oh my gosh,
And,
that's so funny. I didn't remember
yeah.
that. When you said surprise at the game, I'm like, game? Now I completely remember. That's so
Yeah.
funny. And you were just like waving at me like,
I didn't know
"Hey."
what to do,
Yeah.
but because my mom was like, get out of the car. You have to stop her. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't go behind her car.
Yeah, like, don't get hit.
Yeah,
That's
she's
so
gonna
funny.
run me over.
That's so funny. I do remember that now. Yeah, that one I was really surprised about.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That might have been the first of
Many
our
surprises.
surprises going
Yes,
forward.
we enjoy
We
surprising
do
each
enjoy. They're
other.
fun. They're so easy.
It is.
Because it's so easy to make up excuses why you can't just
Yeah.
come and go one
Yeah.
way or the other. So just long distance kind of makes that a little bit easier. But
For sure.
also, I think there have been times where like we wanted to be there for something and weren't. So it's easy to be like, okay, this isn't the time. Well, is this time or is this not? So
Yeah.
you never really know which is going to be the time that you can or cannot make something work.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's so much that you want to go to or could, but with it being long distance and just seasons of life make it different. But I feel like that might have been the first
Yeah, that was like the first
like
of
big
a lot of
surprise.
surprises.
Because before those long distance stuff where we came and go, we had to plan those.
Right.
Because it had to been like, oh, in between school or like, can you fly me or whatever. So
Yeah.
it was definitely more planned. The surprising wasn't as doable when you're literally relying on your parents.
yeah, very true.
To do things.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the parents could have been like, hey, I guess you could have, but it definitely became easier as you get older
Yeah.
and you kind of can do that. But
And
then I
then-
think after all that, it's weddings, yeah.
I
Everyone's
remember
weddings.
you coming for my wedding a day early. Remember you
Yeah.
were just like sleeping in my bed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I started crying, but I remember being so relieved that you were there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I can do this now.
Yeah.
Like Chandler's here. And I told my mom, like, I don't want anyone staying at our house
Yeah.
except for Chandler. And because we had other family coming and
Yeah.
I was feeling very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And he came with me to get my hair done, like everything. And then,
And that's was a crazy season for me, I think, being there. Because it's like, for me, I literally showed up at your wedding and like that was the time I met Heston.
yeah, because
I
our
didn't
first
know
date was
him.
on your birthday.
So I didn't get to experience like y'all
Yeah,
before marriage.
yeah.
So
that's
it's kind
true.
of funny to like think that I'm like, I'm just like letting you marry this guy.
Yeah,
Like I don't
I
know.
don't even
You
know
know,
him.
like
Yeah,
it's just so
true.
funny. I don't even know this guy. And I'm over here like, yeah. I mean, obviously I wasn't worried about like your judgment of who you were marrying, but
Yeah.
it was just a funny concept to be like, oh my gosh, like we've been through everything. It's like I didn't get that little,
Yeah.
I didn't get that one little thing.
And now
It's crazy.
you're marrying this person that
Yeah.
I don't know. And that can be a big risk
Yeah.
because marriage can change people
Yeah.
in a negative way.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, what if he's a
Essen's just
butthole?
added, exactly.
Yeah. Like, he
Luckily, he's
could've been-
added mostly
Yeah.
good things
Yeah,
to
mostly-
our life.
I do think it's funny to see from the beginning of our relationship and him and now.
Yeah.
I do think it's night and day.
Yeah.
Like that might be a little bit dramatic, but it has made like it's so different.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning, because he didn't know me either. So it's like, okay, I'm this friend that's been around forever, but I don't know you.
And
so
like
that's
his
kind of
family,
funny.
in my opinion, I can't really speak for everyone, but what I observe, they don't have friendships like that.
Yeah.
So that was very like foreign to him.
Yeah.
To have this friend be that critical in my life.
But then also to not know me either.
Yeah.
And then you only get me little bits and pieces. And I'm definitely like, for me, it was like, well, I was already in the picture.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really like anything to where like now he's like, well, I like now that you guys are married, it's like a whole nother like process of like, okay, I'm coming into this and you're coming into this, but like you're new, but you're the husband. You know, it's like these whole like different, like comfortable. But now it's like, it's like, dude, like so great. It's so funny because I'm like, in the beginning, you're just like, well, this is lame, you know, like now you're married and now everything's different. But it's so funny because it's like, wow. I don't know if I'm going to like you or you're going to like me. Like, can we have fun
How
together?
Can this change
and
everything?
At first it wasn't. Like it was hard. It was different. And then now I'm like, what the heck? You know, it's great. And it's so easy. And I think like I very much so enjoyed seeing you guys like grow as parents in like marriage and seeing like your guys' personalities and his come out more.
Yeah.
Because I don't really think I ever really got to see it for a long time.
He was very reserved, I would say, in the beginning of our
marriage.
And
then we went through a phase where we didn't get to see each other for a while.
Yeah.
So then you had that on top of it. But I'm like, it's just so funny and just how he's, and just like seeing him with your family because it's fun because it's like I've been in the family for a long time. And so like now he's like added in, I get to see him be like with your parents and your brothers, and it's just so fun to see him. And like even like with my mom, it's so fun to see him. Like when we were down, he was like, hey, do you want to go to Costco with me?
Yeah, and like your mom and him wanting to golf.
Yeah, and he took my mom to go get groceries. And so it's just fun to see like get that now because at first it wasn't like that. We didn't get to experience those things, and then we didn't get to see each other for a while. So now it's like so fun to see and like be a part of that and have that. But was
you guys
weird,
have your own relationship now.
Like I can like talk to him and it not be like,
and he talks back.
It not be like weird or awkward or like I don't know you kind of thing. Like, which it was because I was like, oh my gosh, you're marrying this guy. It's like, hi, Hess, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
it's just such a funny thing. Not ideal in the sense of like wish it was different, but you know, just kind of funny to think that I'm like, dude, who are you?
Yeah, that's true. Because you and Ryan were together for a couple, not super long before you got married, but I got to experience him before you guys were married.
Yeah, and he came to the wedding too.
Yeah, he was at the wedding.
Yeah,
but for you, it was like, hey, I'm meeting you for the first time, and you're marrying my best friend.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, yeah,
better be good. Which again, I don't.
So far, so good.
I wasn't really worried about your judgment, but I'm still like, yeah, you better not suck. Yeah. So far, so good. We're doing it. 3 kids and everything. 2 kids. Yeah. I'm like
kind of locked in now.
Yeah. You're doing it. Almost, what did you say? 11 years?
Almost 11 years,
That's crazy.
And then we went to your wedding, which was, in my opinion, the best wedding I've ever been to.
Oh my gosh, I know. Thanks.
It was so fun.
I want to do it again next year, 2025. Be there, be square.
We will be there.
I'm seriously want to so bad.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, I love hearing that actually. And I mean, who doesn't want to hear that? But
yeah.
I have some friends that always tell us that. The ones, Callie and Kyle, they're from Lubbock, and they came trucked down for our wedding. I still love them so much for doing that to this day, but it was so fun having them there. But she's like, I loved it so much. I'm like, I loved to hear that because in my head, I'm like, yeah, I had so much fun, but it was my wedding.
Want to make
so
sure
it's fun that everybody else did too.
Yeah.
Still small and intimate, but one of the biggest things with that with you guys was Chatty surprising me. I like lost it.
Yeah.
So that was fun. That was another fun little surprise that we had. One of our mini ones. That was a good one that because I knew Chris, I knew everybody else was. I don't know what you guys said that he couldn't or wasn't.
I know he was in school.
Chiropractic.
And it was very strict.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it was.
Yeah. And I knew like just the small time of like the window of him being there for the wedding, leaving school, not missing anything. Yeah. It was so small that it just wasn't. Like, it wasn't going to work.
Didn't even actually like probably it was one of those things that it was like, we're just not going to even tell her because we don't actually know. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Which probably was for the best, because if I got told he wasn't, he didn't, I probably would have been a little upset.
Yeah.
But
That was a fun surprise.
but that was a fun one. That was a good one. That was probably like that one. And then when I turned around and I surprised him, that was a good one too.
His wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because those ones were ones that like wasn't expecting, so I was able to get him back. So that was fun. But yeah, lots of mini surprises.
Yeah.
All like just the brothers' weddings, being able to be there for that. Just enjoying like those just like moments that
Big
like
family moments that you're always just
like,
a part of.
Yeah, that's like you're supposed to be there kind of thing. But I mean, obviously it's being a little bit different with distance and timing and stuff like that. But thankfully, like those were all able to work out, that we didn't have to miss out on those things. Yeah. So that's huge.
Yeah, those are big just life moments for either of us.
Yeah. I was about to say the only things that I'm bitter about missing is baby stuff.
Yeah.
Because of timing, life. Obviously, like, don't know when you're giving birth, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But just not being able to be there right after, like with Liv, when I was supposed to meet y'all in Florida.
Oh,
she would have only have been
weeks old.
Yeah, and that's the hurricane came in, and
I forgot about that.
we had to like cancel. So I'm like, so just little things like that, and then it turned up to where I didn't get to see her till she was like a year.
Yeah,
so
your mom
like,
came like, I think I had Liv, and your mom just jumped in the car and drove, and she stayed.
And
with
then
us.
I was like, well, I'll just see them in a couple of weeks, and then didn't.
Hurricane. I can't remember which hurricane, but
one of those stupid hurricanes.
It ruined our trip.
So that was unfortunate. Rowan wasn't too long after. Luckily, it was just a couple months.
Yeah.
But Heston was long.
Not too long, because it was your wedding, I think.
Oh, yeah. That was...
Because he was still really little.
You're right. He was only like...
Months
old. But there was a gap.
5
His was
months.
like... The gap of like Idaho.
Yeah.
Right? Was when I didn't get to see y'all for a while.
Yeah.
And when I was in school. Because I was like 2-ish years about, because I was in school for 2.
Yep.
And then you guys, how long were you guys up in Idaho?
15 months.
Okay. So I would say, yeah, so that was all during that phase. But so his wasn't too far after.
No, it wasn't too long.
He was stinking cute.
He was super cute.
And
He's
his little I mean, he is still cute.
Yeah.
But like in his little suspenders.
Yeah, his little purple suspenders
cute.
and bow tie.
Yeah.
That was a good
Tubbers
day.
was cute too. So my sister was looking at something. She showed me the video of him when he interrupted during the wedding. She goes, "Do you even remember that?" I was like, "No."
I don't remember that.
Like he
What did
came
he
up
do?
to me and wanted to like talk to me.
Aw.
I was like, "I don't even remember that." But I'm like, I didn't care. Like it wouldn't
No,
even
it just
matter.
would add to the experience.
That's just real life. And I love the
Yeah.
crap out of him, so I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like,
Exactly.
excuse me. I probably would have picked him up if I would have
Yeah.
like even have really thought, I'm like, I don't care. Come hang out, you know?
That was good.
Ooh. Yikes. We did skip over some milestones. I think for you were really there for me too, was like grandmother and granddad. That was pretty quick after like we moved.
Yeah.
Grandmother was... So that was, what did I say we left? The middle of...
Middle of 5th grade.
No, middle of 6th grade. I was wrong. Middle of 6th grade is when we moved up. And I think that next November was when she passed away.
Yeah.
And then granddad was only 6 months after that.
Yeah, that's right.
March, April, whatever after. So like literally like my 6th and 7th grade year were not ideal. But I do remember like, I remember calling you. I think it was grandmother and granddad. And I'm pretty sure I was on the phone that's in that hallway and sitting down calling you to tell you and just like crying.
Yeah.
I just
remember
needed to
that
call and
phone
tell
call.
you. Yeah. So I'm
I
like,
remember because I had cheer tryouts,
okay.
so I couldn't come for the funeral.
Yeah. But I just remember being like, so to me in my head, like you were still even in that moment, not being there, who I called to tell instead of whoever else I could have in that moment.
Yeah.
So I think like that says a lot of like even where we were at that point, even long distance. I mean, did we even have cell phones at that point? Like how
don't
were we
think so.
communicating?
I don't know.
That's what I'm like, how did we even talk?
I felt like we did it like instant messenger.
Oh yeah, that was a
probably.
thing. Emails? Did we send emails, letters,
Maybe.
little love letters? I'm like, I don't even remember. But yeah, I'm like, so even in that moment, and at that point, lack of like communicate. I could now you have it at your hands. I could just call you at any moment, any time, FaceTime you. So I'm like, even still at that point, you were still someone that I was like, I gotta talk to and tell, even if like nothing was said, like I had to let you know.
Yeah.
So that to me says a lot, even in that, because at that point I had been gone almost a year, and so obviously we were still doing it,
Yeah.
and you were still there for that point, and then same with Granddad. I mean, it wasn't too long after that too. I'm like, that was another huge thing too.
Yeah, those are both big.
Yeah.
Big things that you went through.
Like boom, 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 man.
Yeah.
And you had at that point already had a relationship too with them, and I love that. That was like a big thing for me that I look back and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I wish you had more of it. Like I wish I had more of it. But man, there's so many. They're great, man. There's so many funny memories.
So many.
It's so many fun memories at that.
One in particular, I remember playing with the scooter
That was a fun one.
in the garage.
Yeah, she didn't even have to say anything.
No.
She just opened the door and stared at us, and we parked that bad boy right back.
Yeah.
I'm like, we definitely weren't the only ones that did that, though.
No,
either.
of course not, because it was his old scooter, right?
Well, so like, he had two. Like, he had his house one and his one. So I don't. But I think it was the one he used around the house. Or maybe he wasn't home. Oh, that's what it was. He was gone because the van was out, empty.
Yeah.
And so he would get out and get into that one and go inside the house.
Yeah.
So we were just scootering around. It was his house scooter. And she just opened the door. She didn't say anything. Opened the door, looked at us, and closed it.
Yeah. Chandler's grandmother did not have to say a word. You just knew.
Yep.
She meant
What she meant.
the business.
Yep. She was, talk about intense. That intensity and stubborn doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's true.
It's just, it runs strong in those Kirby jeans, or DeGraft and Rita's her maiden name. But man, those jeans are strong.
And when Chandler's mom was going through cancer, it was when Chris got in his accident.
A four-wheel?
Wait, no. Well, one of the times I was at your house and grandmother was staying there to take care of you guys, my parents would like basically flip a coin or something who had to call the house to come and get me, because grandmother would answer, what? And then, I just need to get Ash. She's not ready.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I'll bring her home when she's ready.
Yeah, I'll bring her home when
she's
she's ready.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, thanks.
Like,
and
she's mine until I say so, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're having fun.
yeah, don't bother us.
Yeah. I'll call you.
Yeah, and I remember with the
We'll call you.
accident. So I remember I wasn't supposed to sleep over at your house because it was Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
And
wow.
that's when Chris got in his accident. There was something with, I wasn't supposed to be at the house for whatever reason. And I stayed all day. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, my parents either forgot about me
Yeah.
or something, but they had told grandmother what happened.
Yeah.
And she
And
was
just like to
like,
keep
I'll
you
just
busy.
take care of her. It's
Yeah.
no big deal.
And that's the thing that you just knew. Like, she loved hard and would do anything.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people were scared of her. She was intense, bold, and honest. But at the end of the day, it's like her people were her people.
Oh, yeah.
And if you were my people, you were her people. Like, you didn't call them by their name. They were grandmother and granddad. If you walked in that door with me, that's who you were to them. So many people were in and out of their homes, welcome in, and it was grandmother and granddad. So they were just those people that if you were so important to us, they were important to them, and they made you know it, and you were taken care of.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's just the thing that I loved. It was like you get these funny little stories and little things about her, and it just laugh. But then it's like at the end of the day, it's like you knew though that she loved you. You know?
Oh, yeah, there
It was
was no
just it's just
question.
so funny. Like I love the funny, intense stories you hear, and it's just like because it's so true, and it's just it makes you laugh, and you look back at it, and it's like she was intense, and you were scared, but then you weren't also, because it's like you were her
like,
people.
I'm scared. It was like, I'm just going to behave
yes,
really
ma'am.
well.
Like
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like you're right, you know, kind of thing. But it's so funny, and it's like I'm on your good side. So what do I, you know?
Exactly.
I'm right where I need to be, kind of thing. But that was those were big moments. Those were probably And I will say that this probably means I'm very blessed, but probably the hardest thing
Yeah.
that I've had
Those were tough losses.
had to go through, because those were tough.
Yeah.
I wanted them longer. So I had to go through a lot of big moments without them that I wish I didn't have to, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think next was probably what my family went through. Do you think so?
After.
So my brother's wife unexpectedly passed away, and she's super young. It was a huge, huge shock. Even to this day, I think it's been almost 4 years now. And I think about it every day, and I still can't believe it happened. It just doesn't seem real, what my brother went through. And Chandler, I was just listening to this voicemail the other day because you had called me and I didn't answer. And you just said, like, hey, I just talked to your dad. Let me know what I need to do. And I'll do it, basically. And I don't know what to do in that situation. My brother was in Utah at the time. I'm in Arizona. I can't get to him. It was during COVID. He was sick. Like, I have kids. I can't just take off. And you called me, or we finally connected on the phone, and you just said, like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? And I said, I have no idea. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do in this moment. And you said, well, I'm coming there. I'm coming there. And I'm thinking, like, no, it's fine. Like, don't interrupt your life. Like, you don't have to do this for me. And you're like, it's fine. I'm booking a flight right now. Like, I'll be there. And you were there that night. I don't know what time you got in, but
It was like 11:30.
it was super late. And it was just such a relief to have you there that I didn't even realize that I was going to feel that kind of like, okay, now I can kind of process what's happened. I can talk to somebody about it. Because with the relationship that I have with my brother, in that moment, I was feeling I have to be strong for him. Mm-hmm. He's the one that's going through this.
Yeah.
And I'm just here like, okay, I don't know what to do, but I'm here for you. So to have you here supporting me in that aspect was something I didn't even realize I needed.
Yeah.
And I just remember feeling, because my grandpa was there too, visiting with us. He had gotten in that same day. And you just were like silently doing things like emptying the dishwasher, ordering food for us, and just seeing what need I had and filling it, basically.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a huge thing. And I'm not meaning like a huge thing like, oh, what I did. I just mean in general. So like for me, I think like I've never experienced somebody else losing someone until that. So I think it's kind of a scary thing to think of like, okay, so what do I do for that person? Mm-hmm. Because what do they really need? And everyone's a little bit different. And it's like, who even knows what they need in that moment kind of thing. So I think sometimes people probably can get into their head about like, is this wrong? Am I overstepping? Mm-hmm. Am I going to be too much? Like, do they not want anybody there? I'm like, there's so many things that like, I think you can overthink or worry about doing. Cause that's the last thing you want, is to make it more difficult. Right. But then it's also like, well, I want to be there. Cause then if I'm not, then like, why? Mm-hmm. So I do remember that. I remember I was working. I was literally on my way to one of my next stops is when I was doing traveling x-ray. So I was literally just on my route going to my next stop, and I see your dad, his name come up on my phone, and I knew, and I like hesitated to answer because I was driving. So I answered it, and he said, "Hey, sweetie," probably is what he said, and I said no. I was like, I no, and he said, "Yep," and I was like, and so I pulled over because I start crying, and I'm like on the freeway in a work van, so I'm like, I don't really want to like, so I pull over, and I was like, what do I do? He goes, I don't know. I said, can I come there? And he was like, And I'm sure he said, yeah. I don't know if he was like, we'll reach out to Ashley, or I don't remember what he said to that, but I was like, I will. And I'm sure he was probably like, we'll just see, or like, you don't have, kind of thing. And so, I said, okay, well, I'll call Ashley, and I'll let you know what I decide to do. Yeah. And so obviously that was the first one you didn't, I don't think which you're obviously probably busy doing whatever, not being, good spot. But I remember I just got in the car and I went straight to work because my intentions was I'm going to plan as I'm going to. So I went into work and I went into my boss and I told her what happened. And luckily my boss at the time was very great, very understanding. And she said, okay. I said, I gotta go. I said, I'm getting a flight tonight. And it was, I think my shift that week. So I think it kind of worked out on that.
Timing wise.
And so I just called Ryan on the way home and said, hey, this is what happened. I'm going to book a flight. I'm going to talk to Ashley. I'm just going to go home and pack. And so I think then I don't know if it's at the point that I got home. I think I had got you on the phone. And I don't even know, probably just threw some things in my bag. I knew it wasn't too weird. I could probably wear whatever. Yeah. Yours if I needed to. So usually packing's not that big of a deal. And just came in. And I don't remember really being too nervous about it, but I remember coming out and you met me outside. And and in that moment, I was a little nervous because I didn't want to be overstepping. So I did have those thoughts of like, is this too much? Do I need to be here? Am I just going to make things more chaotic? Do they need to have their space? And I remember hugging you and I just felt you kind of just like release, relax. And I just lost it. And I was like, oh, okay. Because then it made me feel like, okay, I'm good. Like I can be here. Like
this is where
she's
you
not like
to be.
tense. Like, so in that moment I was like, okay, I'm so glad I did it. I felt like good. And then I could be like, whatever you need me to do, I'll just do it. And if you don't need me to do anything, I'll just be here. And sometimes I think that's what people need. A lot of the time is just because we can't really do anything. I couldn't do anything in that moment to change anything. But just to be there. And I think even maybe as adults, like thinking back about my mom and the normalcy is maybe still liking that normalcy of like, okay, like I have people here, I can do this. Like, still kind of getting through your day. Like it might look a little bit different, but like you said, your granddad was here, like people there to kind of help you get through those things, I think is maybe so simple, but really a big role of like, this is what I can do in this moment, or I can sit with you, or let you cry, or I can't give you answers, but I can try kind of thing.
Because I just remember feeling very angry. Yeah. Very confused and so upset for my brother for having to go through all that and everything.
And that all is, I mean, that would be all valid, like feelings of like confusion and anger and just and not expected. And I think that was like a big thing of just being like, what just happened? So I was like, what do you do? Like you didn't mentally be like, okay, well this, there was no like cancer or something of like, okay, like she, might not make it, or, it wasn't something like that. It was just like, what? And what do you have your brain just getting there, and that's hard. And then you, like you said, you get angry because you're like, why? And then it's your brother, there's just so many emotions to that. So I definitely think I was thankful that I was able to make that work and do that, because I want to be able to do those things and be able to help and be there in whatever that looks like. And that you were comfortable to be able to be like, hey, this is what I need or don't need, or hopefully if you didn't want me to come or whatever it was, that you're able to speak those into in like friendships in general, just to be able to let them know what you need. Because if you're like, hey, no, I need to be alone, or I just need to figure things out, maybe come down later, that would have been okay too, because that's what you needed. So I think a lot of the times, I mean, I don't even know if I asked you. I just
remember you saying like, what
I might
do
have
I
just
do?
been like, oh, okay.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
I get it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah.
And you said, well, I'm just going to come there because I don't know what to do. I'm just coming there. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Like,
And that was
that
it.
works. Okay. Well, I'm like, I'm like, I feel like that's a good, to be able to tell a friend what you need is a big,
Yeah.
I think that's hard sometimes to tell a friend what you need.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's hard.
Yeah, because you don't want, like, I don't like to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a burden on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was reversed, I would want you to come to me.
Exactly.
I would be so sad if
Yeah.
you didn't do that. I would feel so sad if I knew you were carrying these hard things on your own.
Yeah.
Without me not necessarily stepping in, but just taking a little bit of the pressure off.
Yeah.
Or just physically being in the same space as you. That was so helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's easy to, like you said, to be the person to want to help, because you want to help everybody.
Right.
You know, you want to be like, hey, I'm your friend. Like, I want to be here for
Yeah.
you. But it's always hard to reverse, to be like, hey, I need you.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, I'd want you to tell me that. So why can't I be? But I'm like you, like the burden of like, well, I can do it, or like I can get, and so that's, but when I was there and did, I felt really good of like, okay, like even though if you weren't like physically like, I need you, like I felt like
it was
you were like, hey, this is good. Like
Yeah, it
everyone
was right.
trying to be there. So that's definitely during that situation. Yeah, that was, and then
That was
I
exactly
also
what
felt,
I needed.
I also felt in that moment, I remember I tried really hard to make that schedule work, to be able to be there too for the funeral and do all that stuff too. But I remember I remember I was like looking at flights, and we almost did, but I think there was some like adjusting they did with things on their end.
They changed the dates.
I was like, oh darn, because I was like,
Yeah.
I almost was able to make it work, because I was like pushed it, but I was like,
Yeah.
and then I didn't get to see him. I don't know, it was probably a little bit after that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that part of it I wish was different, but I was glad I was able to be some way, somehow.
You
in
were there
the
for me
situation,
so
yeah.
that I could go.
Yeah.
I could have a little bit of like a relief and then go to the funeral. And
Yeah.
I felt like I was really able to help Chatty and take care of him during that time, because it's something no one should ever have to go through, and being so young and basically newlyweds, in my opinion.
They were just starting life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you can't imagine, and you're hurting for him, and then trying to be like you said, you can't even imagine that happening. And then on top of it, your brother, you know, so there's so many different things to that. So I definitely think, wow, yeah, I'm glad I was able to do anything in that moment that I could. And I think that's just like a big thing. Just show up when you can.
Yeah, exactly. Show up for the people who matter.
Even if it's just a little bit, or just sitting in it. Because sometimes you got to sit in it too.
You do. And I can't remember exactly our conversation, but I remember there was so many things that you had said to me that weekend. Because at that time I was having a pretty big like faith crisis, I would say. And I was questioning a lot of things, and I was feeling a lot of uncertainties in my life, and truly questioning, like, is there a God? Is he here for me? And I wish I could recall what you had said specifically, but it made such perfect sense to me. And it was only you that could have given me that message. And it was the way that you said it to me. And it was only you who could have done that for me.
2 for 2.
Killing it.
Yes.
You know, and it was something to the effect of, oh, I remember, God's sorry for what happened. He didn't want to do this. Like, he's really sorry about what happened, and he feels bad. He's not happy with how things are going for you. And you were telling me it's okay to be angry with him because he's still there. He's still waiting. Like, take that. And you had said, like, take your anger out on him. It's okay. He can take it. He didn't want to do this. That's just the way it is. And it could only have been you at that time who could have gotten that message through to me. Truly.
Which is, well, I'm glad I could do that.
Yeah.
and that makes me feel good that, like you said, it's just like sometimes that one person just says the right thing and it's what you needed. And to me in that moment, for me, I'm not, I've always, I think, struggled with, I think, how do I want to say this? Not like speaking on my faith, because I'm open and I've always have been and I know what I believe, but feeling like I'm worthy enough to give somebody advice or help.
Yeah.
That sometimes like I get scared about what I'm going to say or if it's the right thing and how to say it. So to me, to hear that from you was another proof of just like God and what he was doing in that moment.
Yeah.
And being able to like speak through me to you to what you needed to hear. And like you said, I didn't know you necessarily needed to hear that. I felt like what I needed to say to just let you know that yes, you can be angry and he's okay with that, and just lay it at his feet.
Yeah.
He's not going to be angry with you that you're angry. And that's the thing, like those feelings are okay to have.
Yeah.
Those angers or those fears and that being scared or the unknown. He wants you to bring those because he's not shocked by them.
Right.
He's not like, oh, you're angry. He knows you are. He knows your heart. So you have to let him in and say those, just say, hey, I'm mad. What the heck? Because he's not surprised. But also just trusting in his plan. And I know in a moment like that, that's hard.
It's so hard to do. Yeah.
It is. I think that's normal to be like, you're going to be sad and be like, what the heck? But at the end of the day, it just comes back to, his perfect plan, and you're not going to always understand, but that's where the faith comes in.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, she's got it. She's got it good. She's dancing up there. Yeah. She's good. She's healed. She's right where she belongs.
Yeah. Very true.
So, this is not where we are. So she is. So I'm glad that was something in that moment that you needed to hear and that I was able to do. Yeah. And that's another thing. Sometimes just saying things that maybe you seem like, oh, I feel like I need to say this, but it might seem weird to you. But like you said, that person might need to hear it. Not being scared to like kind of speak what's on your heart to your friend. Because at the end of the day, you're going to know where I'm coming from is at a good place. Like, and even if it's something that might be hard to hear, whatever the situation is, that in your heart that I'm coming from a good place to receive that. Yeah. And to trust that like you will, and not being afraid to speak those, like talk to that person through those things. And maybe if they're not ready to receive it in that moment, that's another thing too. Like you could have said something to me in a moment, I could have rejected it and been like, that's not right. Or I don't want to hear that. Or no, thank you. 2 weeks later, I could have been like, wow, she was right. I needed that. Or I need that now. I can meet you where you're right. So I think it's okay to maybe be a little scared to say things to someone, but if you're doing it out of love in the right place, and that at the end of the day, it's going to be received at some point or another. Yeah. And just to like let them know that. But yeah, man, you've been through it all. Been through some fun things. So there was good things. There was hard things, but it's good to know that through all those there you were, besides like family, like you were the constant through everything. Yeah. All of it. You're even a friend, like even through fresh out of like parents' divorce, like, cause we moved to Arizona right after that.
That's right.
So, like you were there through literally all everything. Yeah. Big things.
And many more to come.
I know. Good things. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
It does. It means a lot to have that and to know and not to doubt. There's a lot of, I think, fear and scare. I think me personally, I'm not a very like trustworthy person. So I think I naturally am like guarded. Yeah. But I think literally throughout life, you have always been that constant that I'm like, oh yeah, Ash was there. Like no matter what season, it wasn't like ever a doubt. So that's a big deal. So thank you for that, for showing up, and I can call you when needed on the floor, and you answer and you do what you can. Yep. And understanding through life seasons that we're still there.
Yeah, we're always there for each other. Truly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
Well, I think that's a good ending spot for episode 2.
Ended on a cry.
Yeah.
Ended on all the good feels.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you.